down to business.
When he drinks, he thinks.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the number one liquid-fueled, liquid lubricated show on the interwebs. This is the Whiskey Musings Broadcast, and I am your happier than a puppy with two Peters host, Rick. Speaking of two puppies, we have two puppies tonight for the Pet of the Week, submitted by our very own, depending upon where you're from. If you're on Facebook, it's Tommy Young. If you're on Rumble, it's Ms. T of Tex. Anyway, we have a couple of really cute puppies. They're litter mates. And so there's that. And also, I have tonight, I am going to open, because it's finally arrived, I am going to open for the very first time my Garage Oil American Badass Whiskey right here on the show. As you can see, it is still sealed right here. I have not opened it. And this is a signed bottle by the maker, Ron Stone. You're a badass. Ron Stone he signed it. So I am going to open this tonight on the air in just a few minutes. But before I get to that, I need to say a few things. First of all, it is, of course, what the heck? Come on. Whiskey Wednesday. There we go. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And of course, it is Whiskey Wednesday. No Pants Wednesday for those of you over on Rumble. And yes, 3 Chevy, I am going to open a signed bottle because I have been promised that I will receive another one that I can set aside. That was one of my fears, honestly. That was one of my fears. I was like, do I really want to open it? But I've already been assured that I have. I'm going to get another one because I am opening this one on the air in front of all of you, mega Neanderthal deplorables, whatever you want to call them. And apparently Amy wants me to remind everybody that it's also No Bra Wednesday as well. I don't even ask. I don't ask anymore. Okay. So let me get on to tonight's sponsor, of course. For those of you that know TGRN. Oh, that's right. Miscreants. I got to put that in there. For those of you that know, TGRN launched on September 5th, which was yesterday, Tuesday. And I want to tell you about our new channel, TGRN Blues. 11 blues lovers have come together to create this dedicated 24/7 blues channel from the True Grit Roots Network. Join, listen to this list, listen very carefully. Join the Real Lady A, Gina Coleman from Misty Blues, Big Daddy Ray Hansen, Jeff Hayes, Holly Harris, Angela Easley, Vinnie Marini, Amber Hill, Ray Blues Hound Brown, Memphis Mark, and of course, my partner, Jonathan Oogie Richards, as they share the blues every week with original first-run shows from the TGRN Blues channel. Show calendars and more information is available at tgrn.net. That's tgrn.net for that show calendars, more information on the on-air personalities that I just listed, so on and so forth. So go and check it out at tgrn.net. Breaking boundaries for authentic roots radio, True Grit Roots Network, tgrn.net, Austin, Texas. And of course, that is the TGRN Blues is the channel. We are focused now 100% on the blues for this first genre channel launch. There will be more to come, I guarantee you. And for full disclosure, I am part owner in that network, so I do have a little tiny bit of a vested interest. Well, TGRN is sponsored by, of course, Garage Oil Whiskey, American badass whiskey to be exact. And so tonight we're going to pop this can. Let me go ahead and pop the top here. I gotta undo the. Oh, what's going on here? I'm having a hard time. I don't want to spill it all over my keyboard. There it is. There it is. It's popped open. Gotta smell that. Here, smell the cork. You guys smell it? Yeah, anyway. Let me smell. Yeah, okay. Well, it smells nice. And of course, I'm going to put it into my True Grit Roots Network American flag logo rocks glass. I'm going to toss it in here. And here we go. And yes, Bonnie, it is not to be confused with bourbon. It is whiskey, but I'm going to toss it in here. I just gotta get used to pouring it with this cooler than cool top on here. This is a really unique bottle, I got to tell you. Really unique bottle for this. And yeah, let me go ahead and put this down. That cork is a little tight. Don't go there, guys, over on Rumble. Don't go there. All right, first taste. Here we go. First taste of American badass whiskey. Ooh. That is interesting. It's not like a whiskey that I've ever tasted before. It's kind of smooth. I can't quite put the flavor into it. It's like it. Yes, it is interesting. It is definitely an interesting. It's not a whiskey that I've tasted before. It's not like any other whiskey that I've tasted before, but it's pretty good. Let me see if I can read the freaking bottle here. Somebody, Buddy Weiser over on Rumble is asking for the proof. Let me see here if I can find it, because it's got to be on here. I just need to find it. It's supposed to be on here anyway. Interesting. I do not see the proof on here. That's weird. I thought it was supposed to be on. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, my bad. 80 proof. It's here tucked in the logo. See? It's right there. Yeah, 80 proof. So it's 80 proof. And yeah. So anyway, it's a decent drink. Like I said, it's a little different mouthfeel. So there we go. That's some pretty nice stuff. I popped it right here. Popped the cork. She's a virgin bottle in a virgin glass too, and a virgin tasting. Lots of virgins running around here. Okay, I quit. I quit. I just quit. I'm done. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Man. Yeah, and it's and Daybreak says it's pantsless too. It's pantsless Wednesday. So we're talking about virgins, pantsless, and braless. I mean, what the heck? Oh my God. Oh gosh. Okay. That's a great way to start the show, guys. A really great way to start the show. It's the Rumble chat's just going nuts. Anyway. All right. So this first article that I'm going to hit you guys up with, just kicked off just before I came on. And so, yeah, so let's go take a look. The Rumble folks are just going nuts. If you really want a classic fun, head on over to Rumble. Seriously, that's where the party's at. I know that people are very attached to their streaming services, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, but I'm telling you, the Rumble crew is definitely rare tonight. That's how they roll. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead. Let me just get this started. This is great start for a great show coming back on a Wednesday after being off last week. So anyway, this just popped. Apparently special counsel David Weiss have filed some papers that is basically saying that he's going to indict Hunter Biden. So this is according to the Daily Wire. So apparently Weiss said in the filing that the Speedy Trial Act requires that the government obtain the return of an indictment by a grand jury by Friday, September 29th, which is the end of the month, at the earliest. The government intends to seek the return of an indictment in this case before that date. Now, the exact charges, this is according to the report, the exact charges were not revealed in the court filing. CNN reported, however, that they were gun-related. So if you recall, there was a gun that Hunter Biden lied on his FFL form in order to get, and then he went and tossed it in a garbage can or something like that at a high school or near a high school, which was part of the whole idea, part of the whole thing. Now, if you recall, the sweetheart deal that was put together by David Weiss, by the way, in terms of the original case, part of the sweetheart deal was that they weren't going to go after him for the gun charges, and they were only going to go after him for his tax-related charges. And in the process, the sweetheart plea deal would have included a complete immunity for that, as well as any other charges that were going to come along. And so, yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. Now, I don't know if anybody knows this, but David Weiss actually worked with and knew Hunter's brother, Beau, when Beau was the attorney general for, I believe it was the state of Delaware. So yeah, David Weiss knows the family. I don't even know why he isn't like recusing himself on this. But apparently, let's be honest, this really isn't going to go anywhere. I actually think, and I'm not entirely sure on this, but my suspicions are that this is an attempt to make it so that Hunter, if brought in to the congressional hearings, that Hunter would basically be able to say, well, that's a ongoing investigation, and therefore I cannot comment. Same thing with David Weiss, because David Weiss supposedly has been said or has been told that he would still be going and up to Capitol Hill to testify there. So my guess is that all of this is kind of a smokescreen. It's supposed to make it look like things are happening, but will eventually run interference with the judiciary committees and the oversight committees investigations that are going on up there. So again, while the exact charges have not been revealed, the tax charges also potentially could be or could come into it later at a later date. So just because Weiss has filed this document doesn't necessarily mean that all the charges have been put in. He was appointed, Weiss, who before was originally willing to forgo any prosecution of Hunter Biden and was close to agreeing to end the investigation without requiring a guilty plea on any of the charges, according to the New York Times. That was back with the sweetheart plea deal. But so, yeah, it's just, I really don't hold a lot of confidence in this. And so, yeah. But still, this is going to be interesting because, as the piece notes too, Chris Clark, who was a lawyer for Hunter Biden, threatened prosecutors investigating Hunter that if his client was charged in this case, the defense would call President Joe Biden to testify, thus creating a constitutional crisis by pitting the president against his own Department of Justice, according to what Politico reported, which was a part of this. So now Clark said in a lengthy letter to prosecutors that President Biden now unquestionably would be a fact witness for the defense in any criminal trial. This, of all cases, justifies neither the spectacle of a sitting president testifying at a criminal trial nor the potential for a resulting constitutional crisis. So yeah, this is going to be developing kind of interesting. And even though Daily Wire broke it, I also saw the follow up in like the Epic Times. So I'm guessing that this is going to be interesting. So yeah. Anyway, further talking a little bit about this whole case, and speaking of cases, I was in a conversation with Stephen Stiles. You guys remember Stephen Stiles? I was in a conversation with him over the phone before I came on the air. And I made the comment, and he agreed, but I made the comment that Donald Trump, his case in D.C., being brought by Jack Smith, that Donald Trump will not find what would be considered a fair trial in D.C., and that Donald Trump himself, might, or his lawyers might file for a change of venue, and they might have a case with that. Well, right after that, I saw this article that is from the National Pulse. Let me go ahead and bring it up here. That says data shows it is almost impossible for Trump to get a fair trial in D.C. So there was a poll taken, apparently, where 64% of the residents polled revealed that they would find the former president guilty without hearing any of the evidence. And just 8% said that they would presume innocence. Perception of Trump's guilt varies by gender. Apparently 75% of the women would vote to find Trump guilty compared to 54% of the men. Men are more likely to find the former president innocent at 12% compared to 4% women. And this is according to an Emerson College Polling's executive director, Spencer Kimball. So apparently Emerson College Polling is who did it. And here's a chart, by the way. Let me go ahead and pop this chart up. I got to bring it up a little bit larger for you guys to see. Whoops, that's a little too big. Let me back it off just a little bit. Okay, so here the questions essentially were asked by people. Two questions. One is, would they convict him? That's the first question. And this is basically the question itself, verbatim, is this: if you were a member on the jury in the trial of Donald Trump, how would you vote on the charge that he used unlawful means in an attempt to subvert the results of the 2020 presidential election? Okay. So they also asked, do you want to serve on the jury? And the purple bars are the ones that are those that want to serve on the jury. The kind of blue bars, or gun, I don't know if that's not gunmetal blue, but that's kind of a very darker sort of pale blue in comparison to the purple, And apparently on this list, just for those of you who are watching or not watching on Rumble, who are going to catch the audio portion later or catching it now, I don't know. 6% of those who do not want to serve on the jury and 9% of those who do want to serve on the jury said that he was going to be innocent. 60% of those who do not want to serve versus 68% of those who do want to serve would pass a guilty verdict. 34% of those that do not want to serve and 23% of those who do want to serve are actually classified as unsure. Now, this is exactly where I'm fairly certain that the DC case will more than likely bring back a guilty verdict, regardless of what evidence is being presented. And this is part of the problem. I mean, this is where the entire thing resides, with the idea of a fair trial or a jury of your peers. These people have already decided, based on this poll, they have already decided that that this is not that this is going to be either guilty or innocent, regardless of what they're being shown. And that's the problem. That's the problem with this today. Now, according to the National Polls piece here, it says former President Trump's lawyers have already filed a motion asking that the January 6th DOJ prosecution be moved from Washington, D.C. to nearby West Virginia, citing the likely biased jury pool in the nation's capital. West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey said such a move would be a win for everybody. And the National Pulse had previously reported that Barack Obama appointed Judge Tanya Chutkan, Chutkan, who is overseeing the D.C. trial, has a concerning and clearly partisan history, including being a close relative of dangerous Marxists who operated in her native Jamaica. So the problem here, of course, is that the judge is going to be the one who's going to determine the change of venue. And I am not holding out hope for this. So anyway, basically the reason why I wanted to bring this up to you is I want you to understand that when it comes down to the DC trial, we need to honestly look and understand that regardless of what evidence is presented, regardless of whether Trump is actually guilty or not, he is not going to get a fair trial in DC, and especially not with this judge. So, the worst case scenario, honestly, is that he ends up not getting a change of venue. He ends up getting a guilty verdict, and he appeals it based on the grounds that he did not have a fair jury, which he could easily use this poll as evidence for such a thing, and that the judge was presenting bias. So I'm pretty sure that his lawyers, if they're anything worth their salt, they've already gathered a bunch of evidence and are going to go ahead and they've already prepared for the fact that they will likely end up in an appeals process for this, honestly. Well, scooting back to Biden, and of course was the inspiration for the title for this show, Biden apparently is going to start wearing a mask indoors after COVID-19 exposure. And the reason why he's got his exposure was because of his wife. She tested earlier this week, and she is, she's in Rehoboth, and he is apparently in the White House, but he's now going to walk around with a mask on. Now, the thing about this is, of course, he tested negative on Monday and Tuesday and is not experiencing any symptoms, according to our, press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. And she also added that the First Lady will remain in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, for the rest of the week. Now, I'm going to be completely, frank. Not that I would never not be, but I'll be completely frank anyway. This whole thing, how do we know that these tests are even anywhere remotely being accurate? I mean, the vaccine has been shown to not do any of the things that it was supposed to do. And yet, here we go. Once again, she's testing positive, he's testing negative. So I mean, there is nothing in my mind, based on this stuff, there is nothing in my mind that we can even remotely take at face value as being honest and truthful. Masking works, masking doesn't work, the vaccine worked, the vaccine didn't work, so on and so forth. And so now, yeah, we're looking at this and it is just a mess. But I'm being told to drink. Oh my gosh. Please don't do this to me on a Wednesday. Outlaw Dog says, drink Rick, the pantsless whiskey warriors demanded. Over on Rumble, she gave me a Rumble rant. Thank you very much for the Rumble rant. I will drink for you, but I'm asking, please don't make this a thing. I just, All right. So there we go. That has like a spice aftertaste. I almost want to say it's like an orange spice, but it's not really orange. It reminds me of a little bit of clove. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So, further down in this piece, actually, and this is where I'm going to go, I'm actually going to go and we would call this one of my soapbox, things, but I got to tell you, ever since the guy went and looked at his frickin' watch when the 13 people who died in Afghanistan in the Afghanistan bombing came home, this guy he hates the military. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. He hates the military. And I just get so frustrated. I don't know if anybody noticed this, and I got to step away from that, but I don't know if anybody noticed this or not, but this guy was awarding the Medal of Honor, the highest award that a military person can get. And the guy walks away in the middle of the freaking ceremony. Okay? He was awarding the Medal of Honor to Army Captain Larry Taylor for conspicuous gallantry on Tuesday. And I can't even watch the video. It's just so disgusting. But he gave it to him. I don't know exactly what he did. I don't know what he said. I think he shook his hand, but then he goes and walks away from the podium and walks down the aisle. And the faces, when you look at the video, the faces of the people who are standing there, especially the press junket that's kind of standing there, he just walks. He walks quicker than I've seen him walk, to be honest with you. But he walked just out, and I just can't. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine what that man who was receiving the highest honor this country can ever award him. That man standing up there on the podium, and that's the memory that is going to be from this thing. I mean, I love our military. I love our veterans. I'm a veteran myself. And I just cannot believe this man who is the commander-in-chief, who should be honoring each one of these men and women, over and over and over again. And here he does a despicable action. I can't, oh my God, I can't even imagine. I just can't even imagine what that man looked and felt. And I mean, the look on his face, the Gold Star families of the 13. I mean, this guy is just entirely despicable. I mean, I thought Obama was bad, but this guy's even worse. Yeah. Anyway. I can't even imagine. And of course they downplayed the whole thing. Apparently he also took off his mask for the remarks and didn't put it back on. Now here's to hang the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now this is where I fault the Washington Examiner. They have a statement here. During the Medal of Honor ceremony, Biden took off his mask for his remarks and did not put it back on to hang the trinket around Taylor's neck. Excuse me, Washington Examiner, who is this? Naomi Lim, who apparently is a White House reporter. She needs to frickin' get her ass reamed for this. It is not a trinket, lady. Naomi, it is not a trinket. You stupid journo. That is the highest honor that can be awarded our military. Everybody in the military has to salute an individual who has the Congressional Medal of Honor, regardless of their rank. The highest admirals, generals, etc., they have to salute the Congressional Medal of Honor because it is only awarded to people who show conspicuous gallantry in the face of danger. I don't know. Maybe we should get, you know what? I'm going to ask this of you Whiskey Warriors, and maybe I'll find a way. I got to find where she is. Let's see if there's a way that I can do this, but, okay. So this goes to her page. This is what she looks like, folks. This is Naomi. There's Naomi right here. She's a White House reporter. And I'm sorry, usually the Washington Examiner does better than this, but here's an email button. I'm going to actually ask you guys, do me a favor. If you see this video and are of a mind to, I think you need to send your thoughts to Naomi Lim about the idea that the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest award that can be given our military, is not a trinket, folks. It's not a frickin' trinket. So go to WashingtonExaminer.com/author/Naomi Kim and go and do me a favor. Send her a frickin' email or hit her up on Twitter, whichever one you want to do, because they both show up here. But hit her up and let her know that the Congressional Medal of Honor is not in any circumstances a trinket. And you can even tag me. If you do it on Twitter, tag me for it. This is just freaking disgusting. All right. Enough about that. Okay. So speaking of the masking, which by the way, that stuff is going to come back. Do not be surprised. I'm just warning you ahead of time. Do not be surprised that for probably, especially right before the 2024 election, that the whole thing with masking and vaccines and COVID and possibly even in some of these Democrat-run, communist-run states, that they go and, oh, thank you, Outlaw Dogs, for posting that link. That they go and bring back like all of the masks and everything else. Because here on the Daily Fetched, let me go ahead and bring this up. Apparently, Los Angeles County is signaling the return of mask mandates. Now, I don't know if anybody caught this, but there was Lionsgate movie production studio. They brought back the mask mandate for a short time in what they thought it was a COVID outbreak, or, obviously a bunch of people tested for COVID. COVID outbreak, and they went ahead and did masking for a short period of time. They removed the mandate here not too long ago, just a day or two ago, I think. But Los Angeles County is apparently signaling the return of mask mandates. And I'm going to, again, I fully expect that Washington and our governor idiot here will probably follow, because he is like a sycophantic leftist, got his lips stuck to the butt of Gavin Newsom. And he will be, he probably will be following him. But here in the Daily Fetched article, Los Angeles County is set to bring back mask mandates due to the newly reported rise in COVID variants, BA.286 and EG5, whatever the hell those are. Barbara Ferrer, the Los Angeles County Public Health Director, encouraged people to wear masks, ventilation, hand washing, and vaccines during a COVID briefing. Newsweek reported, quote, in California, data from the state government shows COVID-19 hospitalizations increasing by 10.1% compared to the previous week, with a weekly total number of hospitalizations at 2620. Okay, so let's back this out. I'm going to do a little math for you here real quick, okay? Let's back this out. So we have hospitalizations at 2,620. 10% would be an additional 262 of those. So essentially they had hospitalizations at roughly 2,418. So 2,418 previously. And then they say, oh, it rose 10%, which was only 262 more cases. This is ridiculous. The quote goes on to say, I'm not going to say there's never going to be a time when we might need to all put our masks back on, she says, signaling the impending mask mandates in Los Angeles County. Masks don't work, folks. They are not, especially these ones that are shown in the photograph, these surgical masks, they do not stop an airborne virus. They are not sealed to your face. They are not, they're not sealed to your face. And so air gets out and air gets in. There's no vent on the front. I mean, the KN95s and the N95 masks, they might do something. But even then, there's studies that are coming out now that say the masks have no noticeable effect. It's sort of like the whole assault weapons ban. There was no noticeable effect on the violence, gun crime, the raising or lowering of gun crime due to the assault weapons ban, which they want to bring back. The same thing goes here. There's no noticeable effect on whether or not people were masked or not. And so, yeah, this is just crazy. But fully expect these things are coming back. And by the way, Los Angeles isn't the only place. New Yorkers, according to the piece, were told to wear masks for a Labor Day weekend due to the new COVID variant EG5. Now, just for those of you that don't know, that EG5 is actually more transmissible, which means you can catch it easier. Okay. But it also was weaker, meaning it was basically, for most of us, it's going to be nothing more than a cold. For most of us, it's going to be nothing more than a cold. This is fear mongering, folks. Fear mongering for this. Okay. It's not going to happen. This is nothing for us to worry about anymore. Viruses across the globe and in historical history get weaker over time because the virus itself needs a host. It's not going to go and kill the host. Once it figures out that it's killing the host, it mutates and turns into something else that isn't going to kill the host. It wants to survive. I mean, this is the Cochrane study that was released in January, found that masks do almost nothing to prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. I mean, you pretty much would have to live in a complete isolated air not filtered, but air containment unit in order to prevent yourself from getting an airborne virus. None of these masks are going to do anything. And even if they did do something, most of the people who wear the masks don't have any training on how to actually do infection control. You constantly see them playing with the mask. They're constantly touching the mask. They're touching other objects. They're transmitting bacteria and viruses back and forth from touching their face and adjusting the mask and bringing it down over their nose so they can breathe, and then they put it back up. And you see this all the time. A true person who's trained in isolating and dealing with isolation, you wash your hands after touching pretty much everything. Okay? You cannot sit here and like touch your eyes or anything else with this stuff. Hand washing, honestly, was the most effective deterrent. Hand washing and not touching your face was the most effective deterrent for this COVID stuff. Okay? It just is. And yeah, this is ridiculous, but they're going to go ahead and bring it back. They're going to go ahead and bring it back. All right. So a little bit more. Let me go ahead and I'm going to take a second here. So a little bit more on Hunter Biden I got coming up, and a couple of things that popped with regards to Joe Biden and the upcoming the upcoming election here in just a few minutes. But first, let me tell you, if you like the program and you want to do me a favor, of course, and get some really seriously quality logo or mottoed gear, head on over to my store, store.whiskeymusings.online. That's store.whiskeymusings.online. And you can pick up a whole host of great looking products with either the Whiskey Musings logo on them or my motto, which is when I drink, I think. And it is all over the place. I have aprons I just added. If you want an apron, you can get an apron. It's black on the outside, white on the inside. It's got the logo on the outside. I might just pick up one of those myself. But you've got hoodies, regular sweatshirts, crew neck sweatshirts. You've got pint glasses, water glasses, insulated cups, coffee mugs, water, what do you call them? I can't even think. Water bottles. There we go. Water bottles. There's wine, a sealed wine container. There's just all sorts of articles. There's tank tops for the ladies, for the guys. There's t-shirts. There's just all kinds of stuff. Head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online and take a look at all of them right there, and you can check out everything. I've even got, let me see. I've even got some office products too, like this mat that features the Whiskey Musings logo on the side. It's a mat. Whoops. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. I'll have to take a look at that because apparently they may have discontinued that. So don't necessarily go with that. So yeah, so just head on over to store.whiskeymusings.online and take a look for that. I would appreciate you guys heading on over there and checking that out for me. And of course, you know, I try to keep the prices low. I don't want to overcharge you guys, but a portion does come to the program and help support the show. So store.whiskeymusings.online, and thank you to Outlaw Dog. She's posting the links in the chats. All right. So Hunter Biden, you know, there's been a lot of conversation about how Joe did not know about Hunter's business dealings and there wasn't any intermingling and so on and so forth of their communications or whatever. We all know that's a lie. We know that's a lie because You've got Robert L. Peters, a pseudonym for Joe, and over 1,000 emails that have been going. I already talked about that. But now this just came out. This is from the Daily Caller. Apparently Hunter Biden told bank advisors that he had $100,000 coming from Joe Biden's bank account amid his financial troubles. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hunter Biden appears to have received $100,000 from President Joe Biden in 2018 when he was experiencing financial difficulties, according to archived emails between the First Son and Wells Fargo advisors. Here's a image. You can go to the Daily Caller link, and you can see the image of the redacted email with regards to the information. He says, one, a wire will be coming from JR's account shortly for $100,000 to the account number, and it was redacted. Hunter Biden said, according to the emails on his laptop hard drive. And number two, please use those funds to complete the transfer to Kathleen. Thanks, one of Biden's bank advisors replied. Thank you, good sir, tally ho, Hunter said back. The JRB moniker was used to refer to Joe Biden on numerous occasions, including in an exchange about Joe's private schedule and by Hunter regarding his father's policy agenda for Ukraine. Emails on the laptop show. Hunter was apparently paying ex-wife Kathleen Buell monthly alimony and racked up more than $65,000 of credit card debt due to all of his personal expenses, according to emails on his laptop. The emails with the account numbers are partially redacted, of course, to protect Hunter Biden's bank account information. Wells Fargo sent Biden an alert on November 1st, 2018, informing Biden he had an outstanding balance of more than $65,000 on his credit card. The bank account Hunter Biden sent to his Wells Fargo's advisors belongs to Owasco PC, according to an email sent on December 2018 by one of Biden's Wells Fargo advisors listing all of his Wells Fargo accounts and the last four digits of their account numbers. So the Owasco PC's account number matches the account information sent by Hunter Biden in November of 2018 when he described the $100,000 wire from Joe Biden. Okay, look. All right. We're done. I'm sorry. I'm done with this. These two are obviously linked. We need to stop beating around the bush, and we need to impeach this guy for taking bribes and so on and so forth. It's just there's no way that these two did not work all of this stuff out together. So anyway, now there's been some discussion about if Joe Biden were to be taken out as the presidential candidate, and by taken out, I mean removed for some reason. He's impeached, 25th Amendment, so on and so forth, whatever the reason. There's been conversations about how Kamala Harris is not exactly the most, let's say, likable candidate to take his place. And so, there's been further discussions in terms of who, if Kamala does not take his place as the presidential candidate, who could be a potential candidate for the president. Now, we all know that Gavin Newsom out of California, a despicable governor, left-leaning. He's the nephew of Nancy Pelosi, I believe, or he's related to Nancy Pelosi in some way. And he apparently has been running a shadow campaign ever since Ron DeSantis jumped into the race. Gavin Newsom has been attacking DeSantis and trying to run a shadow campaign for the presidency, because he honestly believes that Donald Trump is probably not going to be the nominee. and that it would basically come down to between Ron and potentially himself. Well, Biden allies, according to this piece in the Daily Caller also, Biden allies say that it would be racist for Gavin Newsom to run in 2024. Now, this is an interesting tact because if you think about it, the entire Biden admin has all been about intersectionality. And by intersectionality, what that means is that they look for immutable characteristics, such as, are they a woman? Do they have the proper sexual preferences? Meaning, are they LGBTQ, TIA, plus, minus, divided by sign, whatever? Are they a person of color? And those kinds of immutable characteristics and sexual preferences take precedence over an individual's actual qualifications. Well, if this is the case, and they actually say that, hey, if we were to remove Kamala Harris from the ticket, okay, putting in a white male who obviously is part of one of the elites, a white male might appear racist to some of the people, the Democrat base, who are all the wokesters, who are going, who believe in all of that intersectionality matters kind of thing. So apparently, according to the piece, Biden allies have not been shy about arguing that replacing Vice President Kamala Harris with Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom would be racist, according to NBC reporting on Tuesday. As speculation grows that Newsom will make a White House bid in 2024 if President Joe Biden is unable to do so, some Biden allies have said the move would be seen as a problematic attempt to prevent Harris from becoming the first black female president, per the outlet. When you had people who were trying to test the waters for a presidential bid, the party rose up and made it clear to those individuals, who were mostly white men, that to disrespect the vice president would not be well received by women and people of color within the party. And this was Karen Finney, a longtime Democratic strategist, who was quoted in the NBC story, or in NBC's story about the Democrat struggle to get voters excited about Biden. She continued with, they got a little bit of a smack in the face. This is true. So here's the thing, is that these people don't seem to understand that they have essentially painted themselves into a very big corner. Like I said, Steven Stiles and I were talking on the phone, and he basically was saying, well, I can think of a couple other people that maybe take the place, but they're literally unknowns. One in particular that he's looking at is the New Mexico governor. Now, she's a woman of color and a woman, or at least I'm assuming she's a woman. I mean, well, we can't even really define what is a woman. So I'm not. Anyway, the point being is that she doesn't have any of the national or the nationwide presence that someone, say, Gavin Newsom has. So that would be a bit of a problem. Okay. So, again, I just don't see where the Democrats really have a clear path as to who would eventually be the heir apparent if they can't run Biden or Kamala. And Kamala is, even now, today, still in her own party, her likability ratings are polling below Joe Biden. So it's a bit of a struggle. I just don't see where these guys are going to going. And actually, the piece even mentions that Harris got the lowest vice presidential favorability rating in the NBC News history in a poll that was released in June. The poll found that 32% of respondents had a positive opinion of the vice president, while 49% had a negative view. She's also faced many critical media reports, tepid endorsements from fellow Democrats, and an exodus of staffers. So, again, I don't see where Kamala Harris is going to be essentially the savior to the Democrat Party right now, versus someone who is maybe a little bit better known, but also a white male in the form of someone like Gavin Newsom. Now, to make matters worse, apparently Peter Doocy, I love Peter Doocy. I'm kind of jumping a little bit around here, but apparently Peter Doocy, and this is just awesome, but he asks some of the tough questions. He is probably the only journalist in the White House right now that is actually asking the tough questions. But he basically asked Karine Jean-Pierre, why do you treat Biden like he's a baby? And she did not like that question, which, given the man's propensity to want to walk off stage at any time and his confusion when he's supposed to have already been told about where to go. This is crazy. So Karine Jean-Pierre, of course, says that's ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but there's plenty of video evidence. Plenty of video evidence about this all over the place. Anyway. All right. So what's even worse for the Democrats is the fact that we also have now, if you recall, I talked a little bit about Obama and whether or not this is the Biden presidency is essentially Obama's third term. Okay. There was some information that came out during that, and I had talked about his own brother, Obama's brother, stating something stating something to the effect of that Obama himself was gay. Now, he said that on Twitter. The post has since been taken down, so on and so forth. And then, of course, we had the revelation here recently that Obama had secretly dreamed of sex with men when he was in college, and his then girlfriend, he had admitted it within a letter to her. Okay, so this interview by Tucker Carlson of a man. His name's Larry Sinclair. Apparently, Larry claims that he had sex with Barack Obama and did cocaine with Barack Obama back in 1999 as a part of the Tucker interview. Now, of course, the Tucker interview, and this article comes from the Post Millennial, hat tip to them, but the Tucker interview, oh boy, here we go again. All right. So Rumble Rant from Inked Up, or the Inked Up one. I should get the name right. Whiskey, time to drink for no pants and free the tatas. Well, thank you for the Rumble Rant. And yes, you're right. It is time for me to drink. Here we go. All right. Oh boy. Okay, guys, back to the piece. So Larry Sinclair went on Tucker's Twitter show. I think it's Tucker on X is what it's called. And he went into the into the interview, and he apparently claimed, keep in mind, Tucker Carlson has a propensity for clearly substantiated claims in a lot of cases. But this right now, I'm not entirely sure whether this has been, completely vetted. However, on Tuesday, Tucker Carlson released a teaser for an upcoming interview. So it hasn't actually happened yet, but a teaser for an upcoming interview with Larry Sinclair, who claims to have had sex with Barack Obama. Sinclair alleged that he met Obama at a Chicago bar in November of 1999, where the pair did drugs before engaging in sexual acts, intercourse in particular. Carlson says, "You're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party." And Sinclair replies, "I had given Barack $250 to pay for the coke. I had started putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and next thing I know, he's got a pipe and he's smoking. Sinclair went on to explain that after a little while, he rubbed Obama's thigh to see where it was going and was pleased that it went the direction he'd intended it to go. He added that it definitely wasn't Barack's first time and suggested it wasn't his last. Now, if this is unsubstantiated, this is going to be a bit of a problem. Okay. If it is substantiated, it is going to be a big problem. Big problem. Okay. I don't know if a lot of people, I've seen some of this stuff out on the internet, but this is going to be a huge issue when it comes to Michelle Obama running. Now, I'm not claiming anything on this, okay, but I am going to tell you it is a bit odd and disturbing for you to go and take a look at pictures of Barack Obama with his best buddy back in the day, Michael Robinson, that's the claim, and you put them up next to Michelle Obama. There is enough similarity that you could potentially say that they are either A, the same person, or B, closely related. This is sort of interesting. And especially when you look at some of the claims that are out there, like Joan Rivers, who claimed that Michelle was not female. It's making some people, and me in particular, starting to question, because there are some smoke that is coming out. And Barack Obama has also made what you could consider Freudian slips, I guess, where he has essentially said that it's Mike, not Michelle, or he's called her Mike, or stuff like that during speeches and public appearances. I think there's a little bit more than just a, simple answer to this. And this is starting to look like we may have more than just the Bidens in terms of a presidential scandal for this. I don't know, but we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching what's going on. And to be honest, Obama is relevant. Obama is very relevant. Hoax on Folks over on Rumble is saying Obama is not relevant. No, Obama is very relevant. Obama is relevant over the fact that what did Obama know during the Biden VP issues, where he was taking money from both China, Ukraine, and possibly Romania at the same time, and the fact that there is conversations about Michelle Obama potentially making a presidential run. So yeah, Obama is very relevant in the case. So not to mention the fact that he's probably the third thing. Anyway. All right. This is probably Obama's third term. All right. So the border crisis apparently gets even worse, according to Blaze Media. There is a report that came out, according to CBP data. That's, for those of you that don't know the acronyms, that's Customs and Border Patrol, or Customs and Border Protection, depending upon which way you go. 75,000 illegal immigrants were flagged as having possible ties to terrorism in the last year. So this is just within the last year. And yeah, this is not good, folks. U.S. Customs, according to the piece, U.S. Customs and Border Protection flagged approximately 75,000 illegal immigrants as being possible national security threats or having terroristic ties in the previous 10 months leading up to August of 2023. the Daily Caller reported. CBP data showed that between October of 2022 and August of 2023, roughly 74,904 illegal aliens were labeled as SIA encounters, which stands for Special Interest Aliens. According to the Department of Homeland Security article, an SIA is a non-U.S. person who potentially poses a national security risk to the United States or its interests. DHS, or the quote continues from the DHS, often such individuals or groups are employing travel patterns known or evaluated to possibly have a nexus to terrorism. DHS analysis includes an examination of travel patterns, points of origin, and or travel segments that are tied to current assessments of national and international threat environments. It says, though, that this does not mean that all the SAs are terrorists, but it basically means that there's some behavior, some interest in terms of how they are traveling around for this. So the unearthed numbers, according to the piece, were a massive increase from the reported 25,627 special interest encounters from fiscal year 2022. So this is up from 2022. And by the way, the comparably minuscule number of 3,675, that's 3,675 from fiscal year 2021. So we've gone from just under 3,700 SIA encounters to 25, almost 26,000 SIA encounters, all the way up to almost 75,000 SIA encounters. And people wonder why the conservatives are so concerned about the wall and illegal immigration. This is just one part of the entire thing. Okay. So let's move on to the economy, and everything. But you know how Biden has been talking about, and he's been putting out this for a long time. He's been claiming how he cut the deficit. Well, apparently some numbers came out. This from Fox Business. The U.S. federal budget deficit is projected to double this year. It's expected to surge to $2 trillion. So that means $2 trillion on top of what we already have as our deficit, which I think was somewhere around 31 trillion at the end of last year. So according to the piece here, the gap between what the government spends and what it collects is expected to grow from about 1 trillion last year to 2 trillion in 2023. So for those who are out there who are listening and watching this program, who are, not quite quick in the head, that basically means we are going in the hole. Okay. We are going in the hole for this. All right. This is our deficit is what we don't, we're in the red, folks. We're not even close in the black. We're in the red by what will be 2 trillion for fiscal year 2023. And according to Mark Goldwyn, senior policy director at CRFB, who told Fox Business, quote, "This would be the highest deficit we've ever had outside of a recession or a national emergency." So that just kind of qualifies it. Since we're not in a war, we don't have a national emergency such as the pandemic, we don't have a recession going on, technically. This is the highest deficit that we've had. This is crazy. Okay. This is just crazy. According to the piece, the sizable increase stems from a number of factors, including high inflation. Oh, gee, I thought inflation was going down, folks. More expensive interest payments. That would be because of interest being raised by high inflation. And a drop in tax receipts, which means that money coming into the government from the taxes that we all pay is a problem. Okay. Yeah, this is just a mess. All right. Before I continue on, let me take a quick break here and let's go ahead and launch off this week's Pet of the Week. Oh, and that absolutely awesome little stinger there is thanks to Outlaw Dogs. And of course, tonight's Pet of the Week. You know what? I got to do that again just because. Here it is. Oh, Outlaw Dogs. Very good. Very good. Oh my gosh, that's cool. So this week's Pet of the Week is brought to you by Tommy Young over on Facebook, also known as Miss T in Texas over on Rumble. And so let me go ahead and introduce you. Hang on just a second. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the two adorable puppies. They are littermates and sweet sibling sisters. These are Dory and Riley. Now, one thing that Tommy didn't tell me, and maybe she can answer it in the chat here, but one of the things that Tommy didn't tell me is which one's which. So we're going to be going through this entire thing without knowing which animal is which animal. But this is a picture of when they were puppies. And so this is what Tommy writes to me about these two. Howdy, Whiskey, from your loyal Texan follower. Well, thank you. Sending a few shots of my friend Deb and my sweet sibling sisters, Dory and Riley. They are, oh God, I'm going to have a problem pronouncing this. Here we go. They are Couton de Tulers. Coton, new word, DE, new word, Tulears. So I probably just mincemeat the whole thing. In fact, she even says, I know you're going to have fun with that name. Oh my gosh. Oh, apparently, Riley is on the left in this picture and Dory is on the right. So Dory is the one showing her teeth. Okay. So, let's see. So she says, think cotton dogs of Tulare in Madagascar. There's a whole history of this breed, but to suffice it to say, they've only been in the U.S. since the late 70s. Deb is the reason that I have Dory. She was searching for a sturdy hypoallergenic small dog that would adapt to multiple living environments and have no problem traveling. She found this breed in a breeder near where we lived, who had puppies. I was not in the market for a dog. Okay. Having lost both my 15 and 16-year-old cockers, not before, cocker spaniels, I'm assuming. But when she asked if I'd like to go along, I said, sure, road trip. Okay. So here's the thing about how this happens. Never, ever, ever say that you're not in a market for an animal, whether it's a dog, cat, horse, pig, chicken. You will always be picked up about this. Okay. All right. She continues. When we got to the breeder's home, lots of discussion happened, and the lady decided Deb would be a great person to own one of her puppies. She took us inside where there were two to choose from. Deb scooped one up and said, it's shivering, warm it up. And she shoved it in my arms as she took the other one. Okay. Little hint. Never, ever, ever hold puppies, babies, kittens, nothing. Okay. Don't hold them, because I guarantee you, you're going to want one. As soon as you put them in your arms, you're going to want one. Okay? All right. Just don't do it. Anyway, moving on. I watched her with that puppy and knew that baby had a new home. I felt a slight movement and remembered the bundle in my own arms and looked down to the blackest eyes I'd ever seen and felt my heart stolen in that second. 2 puppies came home that day. Of course, that's exactly what they do. Yeah, no, don't ever pick up puppies. Don't ever pick up kittens. No, just don't do it. It's not going to happen. Anyway, moving on. They will be 12 years old this month and are the absolute joy of our lives. Thank you for your show and all you do. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And then, of course, signed Tommy. All right, so let's take a look. There's a couple other pictures here. So this is when they were babies. This is Dory. Check out that. She must have just come from the groomers because they put a ribbon in the hair, unless she just goes ahead and puts it on. And then here's the 2 of them, Dory and Riley now. So Dory obviously is the one on the left this time. Well, my right, your left. But anyway, that's the 2 of them together. And then this is Riley, by herself. So thank you for submitting, the pet of the week to the pet of the week. I do appreciate that. And for sharing Dory and Riley with us. As you all know, I do pet of the week on Wednesdays. Oh, and by the way, here's Dory kind of giving a little bit of attitude. Sticking out her tongue. Just anyway. All right. So thank you for sharing pet of the week, sharing your pet for this week's pet of the week. I do appreciate it. It happens every Wednesday. It is a segment that is a fan favorite. So do me a favor. If you have an animal that you would like to feature on Pet of the Week, send your animal and said documentation. In other words, name, breed, age, whatever it is that you want me to talk about or want me to throw out there, to Pet of the Week, and I send it to fans, FANS, at whiskeymusings.online. That's fans at whiskeymusings.online. And you can send it in and I will feature it on Pet of the Week. That, I believe, was the last one that I have in the queue. So I think there's one more. But yeah, so there you go. That is our Pet of the Week for this week. Thank you very much for the submission, Tommy. I do appreciate that. And I'm sure that you love those little pups that are out there. All right, let's get back to the rest of the show here. By the way, it's not only the national debt that is a bit of a problem for this. And okay. You know what? I try not to do this. I really don't, but you're just going to take a break. Sorry. Okay. So basically what's going on here is that it's not just the debt that is a big problem. It is also this. So this coming from Just the News, interest on our national debt on pace to eclipse entitlements and defense spending amid funding battles. So for those of you that don't know, we have a debt fight coming up, funding fight coming up as soon as, you know, the House and everybody comes back, basically the Congress comes back. And, so what we have to deal with here is obviously extending our national debt and the debt ceiling. Because if you recall, the deal last year was when McCarthy became speaker, had to deal with the fact that we had to increase the debt ceiling so that we could make payments and bills. Well, that was only a 1-year extension. It wasn't anything very substantial. And so what we ended up with here is now we're looking at that the interest that we're paying on all of our current debt at like $31 trillion. Sorry, misspoke, Freudian slip, $31 trillion or $32 trillion. Our actual entitlements and defense spending is basically less than the amount of interest that we're paying on the national debt, that we will be paying on the national debt for sure, because it's on pace to eclipse it. From the piece here, sustained deficit spending by the U.S. government helped push the national debt up to a jaw-dropping $31.38 trillion in 2023, according to the U.S. Treasury data. Fiscal watchdogs are now predicting that the interest alone on that debt will soon eclipse, meaning being larger than, both entitlements and defense spending as a major component of the annual budget. At the same time that the national debt is at record highs, interest payments in mid-2022 stood out at just under $600 billion, according to a report from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which is CRFB. The report, which outlines the challenges that face the next administration, projects that such payments will exceed the combined costs of Medicaid, food stamps, SSI in late 2023. Though, of course, that is going to vary dependent upon interest rates. Well, interest rates right now are probably slated to go up a little bit here in the near future. Debt service is projected to exceed defense spending either later this year or in 2026. Again, these are contingent on interest rates. So, to be honest, it's all going to be contingent on interest rates. But still, that's amazing. We're going to be spending more in interest than we do on national defense or for any of the entitlement programs. I mean, this is crazy. The CRFB report further pointed to the significant hike in interest rates under the Biden administration. A 10-year Treasury note, which in 2021 came with just over a 1% interest rate, that figure now sits at 4.3. Okay. Yeah, we're getting all these interest rate hikes that the Fed is doing, not doing us any favors. Speaking of not doing us any favors, credit card and car loan defaults have hit a 10-year high, according to the New York Post. So again, all these economic indicators, by the way, that everybody keeps talking about with Bidenomics, and they keep saying, hey, the economy is wonderful. The economy is great. The economy is whatever. The thing about it is that you really have to be careful watching is the other metrics that the government isn't using for watching things like credit card and car loan defaults, credit card interest, credit card total debt, and things like that. All of these things are indicators that are not necessarily being tracked by the federal government that could be a problem for what we've got going on here. And so Bidenomics, I'm sorry, it's just not doing us any favors. And this is also reflected in this piece, which is from Fox News, that San Francisco, I talked about this in other episodes. San Francisco is struggling to fill empty downtown storefronts. As you know, San Francisco has had several downtown stores that have been there for decades that have closed their doors due to the mostly due to the crime that's going on. And it just, I mean, their vacancies are continuing to present themselves in places like San Francisco. Portland, Oregon, doing the same thing. You also have Seattle, Washington is starting to feel the pain with this. So anyway, I mean, anyone who thinks that Bidenomics is doing us any good, yeah, it's not. It's not. Tommy, hold on. Tommy, I got to get this up. So apparently I have to pronounce it as Coton de Tuléar. Coton de Tuléar. Tuléar. There we go. All right. I think I got it. If I didn't, well, I'm sorry. All right. Do me a favor. That is my final Whiskey Musings thought of the evening. Do me a favor. If you like the program and would like to get notified, obviously, when I go live, sign up to follow one of my accounts. Preferably go to Rumble. Rumble in particular, because I love Rumble, but go to Rumble and head on over, sign up for an account. It's free. It's free. It's free to sign up. You can interact with the chat. You can leave comments. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do if you sign in versus when you're not signed in. You can hit thumbs up buttons. You can even hit thumbs down if you're really that interested. But head on over to Rumble and sign up for an account. It's free. And then go to the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel and click the green follow button. You can also follow me on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. You can do all of those things. Speaking of which, I just want to say, for all of you that have followed me, I do appreciate it. I absolutely love the fact I am over 1,100 followers on Twitter. I am over 600, almost 700 on Facebook. I'm at 534, I think, on Rumble. And so this is just incredible. I do appreciate all of it. I appreciate all of my followers, my Whiskey Warrior P1s. And last thing of the evening, Sabo OH says, "Well done, Patriot." Thank you very much for the Rumble rant. I do appreciate that. We'll see you on Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Whiskey Musings Broadcast channel. Good night, everybody.
The Whiskey Musings Broadcast is produced by Active Eye Media, LLC. All rights reserved.